You recently traveled to Athens, Greece, with Jordan Peterson for Foundations of the West, which was a phenomenal show. And you also sat down on Jordan Peterson's podcast to talk about the book. And Jordan, I can confidently say that my life would not be on the trajectory that it is without Jordan Peterson. He's such a big inspiration to me. What have you learned from Jordan Peterson?
Well, it's funny, you, as I'm sure you know, when you do podcasts and you do media, you meet people who have a following, and sometimes like people will come up to such and such a person and say like, "Hi, it's nice to meet you." Um, Walking around any city, America, Europe, whatever, with Jordan Peterson is a whole different level. It's like I thought that I knew sort of famous people, and then I met Jordan, and we would walk around. It's just like people come up to him and just start openly weeping, and they talk about in the same way that you're saying, like my life was transformed when you. And so here's the thing, right? Is that it's it's very easy for that to get annoying, even if like people recognize you on the street. Like sometimes it's easy to be like, well, I'm trying to get a cup of coffee, like, and if it's happening to you all the time, it could really be. Jordan is just like unfailingly kind. And I don't think that people take this on board enough because his mind is what people really connect with, and they connect to his writing, all of that. You know, it, the thing that we miss sometimes is that he's just a good, gentle man. And when I said this to him, I was like, "You're really nice to people." And he said, "Well, they could be throwing rocks." I was like, "Yeah, because that's a guy that's practicing what he preaches." So I think, to me, what I took away most, what I have taken away from my uh, from the stuff we've done on camera and just from getting to know Jordan off camera, I think that has really stuck with me. Is that he is an actual a generous soul whose intellect is in service of something greater, not the other way around.
Yeah, that is so beautiful and so admirable. It's amazing how many lives he's touched. But I have one more question for you, sort of a silly question. I know you have to go, but you're obviously a very well read man. You've spent a lot of time grappling with the ideas of these brilliant minds from throughout history. If you could have dinner or hang out with any three people from history, who would you pick?
Boy, yeah, I get three, huh? Um, okay, I want to sit down with Socrates, even though it'd be really annoying. I I want Jesus to be there. I think Jesus free second coming. I don't think I'm ready to meet Jesus of the second coming, but I like incarnational Jesus. You know, and I mostly want to see what they say to each other. So I don't really want so much to ask Jesus about things or Socrates about things, although I do. I really want to watch them have a conversation because I've always felt that Socrates is so close to Christianity, at least as Plato represents him. And I've always wondered, like, if he had met Christ, would he have recognized what he was searching for all this time? Um, and then you would, I think, then need like the world's best moderator of that conversation. And so I think I would ask C.S. Lewis to sit with me. I mean, Lewis is my intellectual hero. I've always wanted to meet him. So I think I would like ask him to kind of moderate the conversation between Socrates and Jesus, and then I would just like sit back and I don't know, make pasta. How about you?
That is such a phenomenal answer. I've asked this question to a lot of people. It's my favorite question to ask. I think it says a lot about who the person is. I've never heard someone say that they'd like to see those characters interact with each other. So that's an interesting answer. But for me, I have two locks, and then my third one. It's such a tough question, but number one would be Jesus for sure. There's so many questions like, are you really the Son of God? Did he rise from the dead? There's just so many questions as a Christian that you would want to ask. And then two, I mentioned him earlier, Leonardo da Vinci. Just his mind and his hyper curiosity about the world around him, I think is so inspiring. Just the way he thought about the world. Like, have you read Walter Isaacson's biography of him?
Yeah.
Like, this guy puts on his to-do list, describe the tongue of a woodpecker. Like, who sees the world like that? It's so fascinating. And then just to be able to like watch him paint the Mona Lisa, that would be incredible. And then my third one, as a history guy who loves America, like one of the founding fathers would be really really cool. But I'd like to pick more of a fun one, so I'll pick Elvis. I'm a huge Elvis fan. I think it would be pretty fun to hang out with Elvis. But yeah, you mentioned C.S. Lewis, and I mentioned that the handful of books that have really had that profound impact on me, and the Screw Tape Letters is in my top 3 all time. It completely changed my perspective on temptation and, any sort of inclination to do bad. It's all just kind of the devil luring you in and away from God. And that was really big for me.